Hey, everybody. I realized, I'm just working on my placement of this phone. I realized that over the course of the last year, I was doing events with Your Oil Tools and I was presenting on energy types, and then Your Oil Tools was carrying a book for you to immediately get a resource. Energy types come from Carol Tuttle, and she wrote two books that I highly recommend you dive into. One is called The Child Whisperer, and one is called It's Just My Nature. Of these books, you could also do her free before and after. If you go to dressingyourtruth.com, you can just take the course on the energy profile types. The reason I was teaching this at these events was because when you are doing doTERRA, it's very helpful to know how someone's wired. What is their strengths? What are they going to be doing about it? I realize my microphone isn't up. Okay. When you're doing classes, it's very helpful to know what someone's strengths are and how to move forward working with those strengths. But what if someone's not wearing their 5 Gallup strengths on their shirt? What if they aren't wearing it on a lanyard? How do you know how to best work with them? Well, that's where energy profiling came into play for me, because I could look at someone's face. I could look at the way they walked in a room. I could look at the way, I could listen to how they projected their voice, and it would give me clues as to their strengths and how to honor them and work with their strengths. So I'm going to give you an example, and this is where, this is like deep. So hang with me. This is probably going to be a long Facebook Live. But when you're teaching a doTERRA class or you're meeting somebody new, how they interact with you is a big clue as to their energy profile. Now, if you want to know what the energy profiles are, you will need to go to Carol's material to figure that out and to research that. I'm just going to tell you how to work with each energy profile as you interact with them in a doTERRA setting. Okay? So here we go. You are doing a doTERRA class, and you are really excited to be there, and you've got a room of about 10 people, right? Sometimes those classes can get really big. We can get up to like 30 or 50, but the average class is right around 5 to 10. So you have about 10 people in a room. You've been invited by your friend who is hosting the class, and you're really excited to be there. So this is, I gotta put this phone down. Like, I gotta stand up and move on this one. So I'm gonna just show you how it goes. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. So you've got your natural solutions guide, whatever materials you're using, but let's say you got your class in a box from doTERRA and you've got your natural solutions guide, and you handed out these natural solutions packets to everybody. When you're sitting in, the first person, the type 1 in the class, is going to take their natural solutions and they're going to flip through it really fast while you're talking about the first page. Or they might have a lot to say to their neighbor and they're just very chatty. That's the type 1. The number one way to kill a sale with a type 1 is to ask them to stay focused on the first page with you. If you do that, they're not going to buy doTERRA from you. They're probably never going to go into business with you either. Killed all the energy of them by dishonoring their movement. Okay? That's type 1. The type 2 is going to sit there very quietly. They're going to quietly come into the room. Unless they are terribly comfortable with the people in the room and the hostess, they aren't going to be super social. They're going to quietly come in, they're going to sit down, and they're just going to be reserved as they listen. And they're going to follow along. They will eventually, though, have a million questions for you, and it may not be immediately. They're going to think about everything you said, and the number one way to kill a sale with a type 2 is to ask for the sale at the same time you're presenting the information. I know that sounds kind of funny, but there's research out there that says that someone needs 12 to 21 touches with an idea before they're ready to buy. Well, let me give you an example. I'm a type 2 woman, and I was first introduced to the idea of timeshare when I was, 22, and sat through that presentation. I actually bought, because I'm married to a type 1 who loves the idea of buying immediately, loves the option. So he wanted to buy. But then we backed off. Within 24 hours, I was like, I'm not comfortable with this idea. We need to stop. So we backed off. And now I have rolled over this idea for about, how old am I? 15, 16 years since it happened. And so much so that I've sat through 2 or 3 more presentations on timeshare by different companies. And I finally had clarity at my last timeshare presentation where I was like, this is not for me. This is never going to be for me. And I'm grateful that I took the time to really research it, feel it. Type 2s feel things, feel it, and get accustomed to what feels right and what doesn't. So ultimately, at my last timeshare presentation that I sat through, I said, thank you. This is not for me at this time. And you know what? The guy presenting it got so mad at me, he swore at me and spit. And my husband got in his face and said, you don't get to treat my wife like that. So he swore at my husband. And that's when I was like, okay, you're on the verge of aggravated assault, dude. Like, calm down. I'm done and I'm leaving. It was really interesting to see this reaction. So I will not be moving forward with any of that idea for here forward. Like, big deal, right? No, I'm not going to say never, because never always comes back to bite you. So that idea has gone to bed for a really long time. But that is the process of a type 2. So when I was introduced to doTERRA, I was introduced by a friend at the park who had a little kit of oils with her and a little keychain and said, oh, I use these all the time on my kids. She was a nurse. So in my mind, she had some pretty good clout as to what she was using. And I was like, well, tell me more about that. And, but she didn't put oils on me because she was not in the business of it. She wasn't even in the business of sharing too much besides just telling me about it. And when you're in the business of doTERRA, you put oils on people, put oils in their hands, let them experience it. That's where the power is. That's where they get blown away. So she introduced this to me, and I was like, okay, this is an interesting idea. Where do I buy it? Because she had enough clout and I had enough trust in her that I was actually ready to move forward a little bit faster. And she's like, well, I buy it with my mom and we do it this way. And I think there's a lady in Mesa that does this, Mesa, Arizona. I don't know. I'm like, okay. So when I found out that another friend in the neighborhood had access to a doTERRA account, and she actually did an aroma touch on me, she got the oils on me. And I was like, okay, I actually want to do this. And she's like, okay, well, you can just buy on my account. So I got my first kit on someone else's account. Guys, this is a no-no, but this is what happens when you're working with people who don't fully understand the idea. Because I was really, really ready to be into this. So I'm using my oils for about 4 months. And by now I have transformed. I am ready. I am feeling the fire to talk to people. Like, this is amazing and they need to hear about this. And I also had this really deep desire that was implanted from heaven that said, you need to go tell people about this. So I had this desire, and then I had my head saying, I'm quiet, I'm shy. Why would I ever go share doTERRA with anybody? Right? So, but I had that implant desire from heaven that said, you need to go share this with people. They need to know about this. And so that's when I went back to the girl who allowed me to buy a kit on her account and said, do you know anyone who's actually like doing this for a business? And she goes, yeah, my mother-in-law is. I'm like, great. I need to talk to your mother-in-law. Okay. But it took some time. It took 3 months for me to really be like, wow, I love this. From the time that someone first told me about it till I was ready to do it as a business. And then I contacted my upline, Kathy Hunsaker, and said, I need to do this as a business. And I was so brand new, such a baby in the process. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea what kind of growth curves I'd be going through. But I did it. And I got my first kit, my first official kit from doTERRA, and jumped in. And within a month, you guys, no joke, of getting my first kit from doTERRA, I got the skincare kit. I already had oils, so I got the skincare kit. Within a month, I went to my husband and I was like, so I need every oil, like, now? How can we go about affording that? And then I got every oil because I'm like, I'm all in on this. So, a type 2's process with the doTERRA experience. So, patience with your type 2s, okay, when you're doing that. Now, the type 3s, when you're sitting in a class and you're teaching a type 3, you have not gotten through the first page. And most of us usually have a 2-page thing, maybe a 3-page thing that we're going through for our classes. You have not finished the first page before they are asking, how do I sign up? I've got another place to go to. And it might shock a lot of you. And the answer is, fill out this, pick one, I'll get it done for you. That's your answer. That's how you keep a cell with a type 3. If a type 3 wants to do the business with you, they're going to run hard. I'll be doing another Facebook Live on the doing business with each energy type, but for right now, I'm just going to do the class, introducing them to products. Okay, so that's a type 3. They're going to get to the point and they're going to move off of it and leave. And it's going to kind of rattle the classroom a little bit because they're like, what? And it's easy. Like, it's really helpful to be teaching a class with someone else. So maybe the hostess says, you warn the hostess, like, you know what, I think by the way this person walked in the room, they might want to leave early. If that happens, just have them fill this out, choose one, I'll take care of the rest of the details. And then that's how you can easily, oh, you know what, just talk to her and she'll get you all set up. And then that just moves to the side and then you can continue the class with all the other 3 energy types. Okay, so now the energy type 4. When they come to a class, they can tend to have a pretty impasse face. You cannot tell what's happening behind that face. Am I right, Megan? You can't tell what's happening behind that face. And so you present. And you might think they don't like you because of the face they have, where they're just, everything behind this face, they're thinking. So the most honoring term is it's their thinking face. And you can't really tell what's going on behind their face because it's just these calm, still waters and you can't tell. So, don't ever fake being yourself in front of a type 4 because they can sniff you out in a big way. Like, they can tell you're being fake. So I remember one class I was teaching, and it was actually a lesbian couple that was hosting the class, which was interesting. And they had invited their friends over, but they themselves had not actually gotten involved in oils or known anything about it. They were hosting it because somebody asked them to host it. And so they were sitting there, and it was a type 1 woman with a type 4 woman. And the type 4 was just the whole class. And I knew how to win her over because I knew energy profiling. So I turned to her at one point after I had presented all the information, and I said, if you two ever get in an argument, you're usually right 99.5% of the time, right? And she was like, yeah. And I was just like, tell her that. I'm like, and so I went to her partner and I was like, she's probably right whenever you have an argument, just so you know. And I did. I won this woman over because I knew how to talk to her. I knew how to honor her. Did she ever buy oils? No, actually she never did. But I knew how to connect on a level that would just show that I knew I knew who she was, and I knew how to respect that. And many people in her life probably hadn't respected that by their nature. So that's been the really interesting thing is the type 4 experience. Now the type 4s, they're also going to, depending on what their interest level is, they will have some very direct questions for you. And depending on your energy type, you may be able to respond to these direct questions or you may not. And if you are a type 1, you're going to connect and disconnect really fast from their questions, and you may actually forget their questions or something. So what I have found in my type 2 nature is don't fake it in front of a type 4. I mentioned that just a few minutes ago. And so when a type 4 has direct questions about the oils or about the science, most often the direct questions come from the science side of essential oils. And so what my recommendation is here is resources. And I invite you to look those resources over because they're amazing and they go deep, and you can dive in as deep as you want with the resources on the science behind essential oils. You see, when I do that, I'm allowing them to take the authority on it and to dive in. Because when I purport myself as the authority on it, it's fake. Yes, I have been doing this for 8 years. Yes, I am a professional at this. I have done so much research on essential oils. I have so many answers inside of me. But are my answers the ones that will directly answer their questions? Sometimes not. And it's better for me to say, here, go be the authority on it after you do the research, because you're going to find exactly what it is that you want. Whereas my answers may not be exactly what you're looking for, or as particular or exact as you're looking for, because in my world, nothing is super particular and exact. Does that make sense? So that's how you teach each energy type. When you are approaching, I'm going to take this one step further. When you're approaching a type 1 and they've tried the oils and they're super interested and they want to learn more, they like to make a party of it. And this has been what's interesting, because years ago, when I first started this, I didn't know anything about the business of doTERRA. I just knew I needed to teach people and I needed to keep sharing. And so when they would ask me questions about, okay, how do I host a party? And I was like, I don't know. I don't ever done this. I don't know what Tupperware parties are. I've been to a Pampered Chef party. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the compensation is on this. Well, I have since learned. And the rule of thumb is we're not a party business. We're an education business. We're teaching people classes. We're teaching them how to do this. We're teaching them how to be self-sufficient with their essential oils and how to get through the learning curve of the essential oils, because learning curve is steep and fast. I mean, within a month of using them, you wonder how you have ever gone your whole life without them, because they become so intuitive in using them. So when you're inviting a type 1 to learn more about it and to actually go through some of the education process, they want to make a party of it, and they want to invite a lot of people to be part of the process. That's phenomenal. And so you might find that they're the ones that suddenly become the hostess without knowing much about it. The type 2s, they kind of need your one-on-one attention. They want to get to know you. They want to be able to make sure there's a trust level before they buy in to you and what you have. And honestly, guys, when people are buying doTERRA, they're buying you, because you're part of the package deal. And if they don't want to buy into you and who you are and what you have to offer, they're going to just keep looking. And that's okay. It's totally okay. You are not the flavor for everybody, but you are the flavor for certain people, and that's why they'll love you. So a type 2 is going to want to connect. They're going to want your individual attention, and they're going to want to just know that it's a safe place to do this. So they are most likely going to want to do a one-on-one with you. And looking back, that's how mine happened. I didn't actually ever end up in an essential oil class learning about any of this. It was all one-on-one interaction. Like I said, at type 3, it's not necessarily a social event. They just want to get to the point and they want to move forward with their decision, if they've made a decision on it. And then a type 4, they're the finishers of the process. They're going to decide for themselves, and they can decide in a group environment or an individual environment. Either way, they're going to take in the information and analyze it and then make a decision on their own. So that's been interesting, and it's been really fun to see how this is played out, and what kind of leadership comes out, and what kind of different energy types come out of the leadership. as people progress in doTERRA and really make a business and a life of them for themselves in it. So that is your brief on how to teach each energy type as a customer. I will do another one soon about being the mentor of each energy type and bringing on each energy type in a business relationship. Be aware that as you're moving forward to the business relationship, it's less likely for you to attract people that are your energy type. And you're going to want to attract people that are your opposites, because when all four of you play together, it's a complete picture, and everybody needs each other to finish that picture. So thanks for joining me, and I hope this is super helpful. I wanted to pop this one on here so that it's here as a resource for a long time for a lot of people to view. So awesome. Good luck with your efforts.